Welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this video. Time to dive into the book.
Hello, this is Jessica with On a Stack of Books, and today's video is the 50 before 50. So this is the very large reading challenge of reading 50 books before you turn 50. And so I saw Nikki do a video about this, and then I saw Lauren and Ben do a video, and I went and found the original creator is at the book thing, and I went and watched his video, and I really liked this idea. I think it's a good challenge. I can read 50 books in a year-ish, depending on the size of the books. So yeah, this will actually fall right on my birthday. So I'm turning 47, so I have 3 years to read 50 books. But that's these specific books. So I realize that. So I'm going to go into the books. I'm not going to go into them in great detail. But yeah, these will be the ones that I am thinking. Okay, so we're going to start with Lonesome Dove, and this one I am going to get to in the next couple of days because I am participating in June on the Range. I have wanted to read this for many, many years. This is a epic Western tale about the city, the town, Lonesome Dove, and all the people in it. So I will happily get started on this one right away. Let's see, I need a better system. The next one is Eve, and this has been on my shelf for a while, and it is the same author of The Shack, W.M. Paul Young, and this is a different story of creation. A woman is in a cargo ship. She's washed ashore. She's barely alive. They nurse her back to health, and they find out that she I think it was that her genetic code, when they, check out her health and everything, she's related to everybody. So sounds very good. And I really love The Shack. I just hit myself. The next one is Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. And this one is about a man who decides to sell all his earthly belongings and head to Alaska and, live off the land. And about 4 months later, his body is found. And so it's his story. And I don't even think he lasted the 4 months because his body is found decomposing or decomposed. So, that one. Then I have Truman Capote, In Cold Blood. This is sort of a iconic true crime story. I think everyone is very familiar with this book, but this is about the Clutter family, where 4 of the members were brutally murdered, shot, and so it's the investigation. Now I have a classic, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't really know anything about this other than there is a hunchback named Quasimodo, and he lives in the castle, the building up in a tower. He's disfigured, and it's his life, I guess. I don't know. Okay, this one is How to Be Eaten by Maria Edelman, and this is sort of a dark but funny story of, Little Red Riding Hood, but other, not princesses. She's not a princess, but like other fairy tale characters. And they meet in a support group, and they tell their story of how, she was eaten by the big bad wolf. And I think Gretel has some memories that are, what's the word? Regression, or she's, about being, trapped in a house made of candy and things like that. So sort of a dark twist on the fairy tale stories, supposed to be dark but funny. And then this is The Life of Pi by Jan Martel. I saw the movie and I thought it was amazing a long, long time ago. And there's a twist at the end that you just don't see coming. And so I think it'll be really interesting to read the book, knowing that twist and see how I read it and what I pick up. But basically he's laying in a hospital bed. He's the only survivor of I think it's a shipwreck or something. And, he's telling the story of what happened and it's unbelievable. And the doctors are like, that's unbelievable. Like, we don't believe you. And he says, what if I just change one thing about the story? And it's just an amazing story. So very, very cool. Look forward to that. I definitely want to read an Agatha Christie. I have started a collection. I have not read any of them yet. And so there was a couple of comments that this was a really great one, a good one to start with. And so why not? And then there were none. So, mystery, thriller. So I'm looking forward to getting started with her. Okay. And then we have George Orwell, 1984. I really only know this as like a dystopian. I'm not really sure, but I think that it is a unsettling, depiction of a future of a, society and that is, unsettling. So I don't really know much about it. But it's a classic. I know that. Okay. And then speaking of classics, Rebecca. So this is a romance, suspenseful. It says romantic suspense, but I have just heard this reviewed and depicted as, this very slow burn, amazing romance, of Rebecca. And, I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I found it thrifting and I was so excited because I knew I wanted to read it at some point. So here we go. And then we have The Book Thief. And this is a character. Isel finds a book in the ground, and it is the Gravedigger's Handbook. And so it's just amongst, some debris and things, and she takes it. And it starts this trend of her stealing books that she finds, and she's stealing them in people's home libraries. She's stealing them around, and of course there's book burnings happening, the Nazis, and so she's trying to steal books from that. So that's really all I know about it, is just it becomes this, trying to save the books and steal as many as she can. I don't know if that is very accurate. I don't know much more than that. Okay, and then we have The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. And this is about a librarian who accidentally, involuntarily time travels. And his love affair with his wife, I don't know if they get married in the future or in the past, but Claire, and so it's the past, present, or something like that. And yes. Okay, I did not mean to do this, but I have another George Orwell, and it is The Animal Farm. And this one is I do believe that this is where the animals decide they're not being cared for properly, and so they sort of take over and create their own, it's their farm, but they're, who's in charge, and it's animals, it's not people. So that's really all I know about it, but it's little. So, and I have talked about this book before. I've been wanting to read Atlas Shrugged my whole life. Strangely, I don't know a whole lot about it. But it is this man, Atlas, who, he's trying to, change the world in some way. I think he does it. I don't really know. It's been one of those books where it's been on my shelf forever. My parents read it. I've always seen it. And I just was like, I have to read that book, Atlas Shrugged. I don't know really what it's about, truly, honestly, obviously. But I'm going to find out. Okay. And now we have Lord of the Rings. This is a group of school age boys. There's a plane crash and they're deserted on an island. And at first they think it's great. There's no adults. They do whatever they want to do. And then they start to develop some hierarchy of who's in charge and rules and things like that. So, sounds good. Okay. This one is Stranger Care by Sarah Sentiles. And this, I believe she combines the, like, animals and how they care for their young and people, how they care for their young. But this is a husband and wife that can't have children biologically, and so they foster and they try to adopt. And it's the process and the whole, ins and outs of adoption and, fostering children, but then sometimes they get reunited. And so the heartache and the attachment and how do we care for and what's the best scenario and, you know, how all these people love these children. And then we have Les Miserables, another classic. And again, I don't know a lot about this. I'm pretty sure it's set at the beginning of the French Revolution. I think that the main character is imprisoned. I don't know if he's wrongfully imprisoned. But I know there's a lot of poverty I don't know. Okay. This is Lost in the Valley of Death by Harley Rustad. And this is, it's a man goes hiking, and I think it's the Himalayan Parvati Valley. And he is going on a pilgrimage. He is going on a spiritual trek where, you know, he's meditating, yoga, he's with other people, but then he goes off on his own hike and never seen again. So it's his story, and I think he was motivated to go out there because other people had been going and then not coming back. So I don't know if he was investigating those or trying to figure out, but yep. And then we have The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. This is Henrietta was, she had some sort of medical procedure, and the doctors kept her cells and used them for research and were very successful in their research and what they discovered about her, but they never told her, and she was never compensated, and she was never properly notified, or the family wasn't notified. And it was this whole very mismanaged, poorly done situation. And then her family finds out. And so I do believe in her lifetime, definitely never was able to have any sort of money from it or any kind of recognition or anything. And it had to do with, I think the story has to do with race and how at the time, and because it was 1951, and so just really horrible treatment. It's bad enough that she wasn't included in this, wasn't notified, wasn't compensated in any way, but the medical people, the medical field, they prospered. They did very well from this research, from her cells and from what they found out. And they just didn't share that. So it's her life. And now we have Peter Pan. So I thought this would be a fun little read. I picked this up, and everybody knows the story of Peter Pan. So, The Boy That Never Grew Up. Okay. And then we have Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and another dystopian classic, which it's not my go-to genre. It's not my favorite. But I could read 50 books, but I want to read books that are sort of challenging, I want to read, but I'm like, ugh. And so this just seems like the right time for these books that interest me, but I have not picked up and I've had for a while. So, because as I'm going through this stack, a lot of dystopians. I don't know much about Brave New World either. Okay. And then Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Really excited to read this one. And, I've had several copies, and I know that there's, an abridged and unabridged, and I didn't necessarily pay attention to which one this was versus ones that, I'd have multiple copies, and so I'd put them in little free libraries, but this seems very small. So maybe this is an abridged version. I don't know, but we're going to read Frankenstein. Okay, and then the last three, we've got The Stand by Stephen King, and this is the complete and uncut version. And I've heard a lot of people describe The Stand as, his best book. So why not just jump right to the best book? I've read a couple of Stephen King so far, and I do still want to read some more, but let's read his best one. So I think this one is about a plague that breaks out, and what happens there. And then had to have a Michael Pollan book in this group, and this is Your Mind on Plants. And this is, he does research and talks about how the plants that make drugs specifically, and how our mind is on these drugs, whether it's a stimulant or a relaxer or something that makes you, hallucinate, and all different kinds of things, and how we perceive drugs and, like a stimulant like coffee, or tea versus, something much stronger. And so I love how he writes. I love how he tells his stories. So this one sounds really good. And then American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I'm drawn to the cover. I just really like this book, but just reading the back, it's sort of a mystery horror novel. His name is Shadow. And so Shadow is getting released. Oh, his best friend and his wife are murdered. And so Shadow is leaving prison, and he meets this strange man, Mr. Wednesday. And Mr. Wednesday seems to know Shadow, and he ends up working for him because he doesn't really know where else to go or what to do. His wife has been killed, his best friend, and those were the people that were going to come pick him up. And so lots of twists and turns and eccentric people and situations. So for the 50 before 50, because it's a lot of books, these are the first 25. I will do a second video with the next 25. But I think this is going to be a good reading challenge because these are, it was hard to really narrow it down. It was hard to pick through and, decide which book was going to make the list. But I'm excited to get through these books, and I will. It's not, 50 is a large number, but I've got 3 years, so I think we'll be fine. But yeah, so I'm excited and happy to be participating in this reading challenge, and it's fun to watch the other videos because there's some crossover with the books, and sometimes there's a lot of crossover, and then other times, you get to see 50 new books that you had never heard of or planned to read or wanted to read or knew anything about. So that part's really fun because there's some that are widely known, the classics and things like that. But then there's a lot of other ones that are, a little bit more obscure, maybe because of genre or just interest. But happy to participate. And so I will link the creator of this challenge in the description. But thank you for watching. And until next time, I will be reading.